Bob Simon, the resource officer, they were unbelievable. Down the road in Thomaston, you have a wonderful police force. Be grateful if you live in this town. And Coe Park is a beautiful venue. Take care of it. Let us leave it, as Mark said, as we found it, and even better. Before I do introduce our next speaker, I want you to join me in a moment of silence. And I'm going to tell you for who in a moment. But again, I want to tell you that I and the United American Patriots, and I'm going to guess that you all feel the same way, that what Derek Chauvin did was a detestable act. We all denounce it. We all universally condemn it, from what I can tell. But it's one officer, the action of one rogue officer. We don't condemn the other 700,000 law enforcement officers in our country.
That's right. Hey guys, we're in Torrington at the Back the Blue rally.
I do believe in the First Amendment, free speech. I do denounce the behavior of some of the people that are burning buildings, looting, robbing, committing murder. That behavior is unacceptable. That behavior needs to be stopped. Those people need to be held accountable now.
Yep.
Now for the moment of silence. You may have already. I've been to Indianapolis about 5 times myself to see the Final Four. I like the Yukon women. In Indianapolis a few days ago, Jessica Doty Whitaker, 24 years old, a mother. She was shot and killed by protesters because she said all lives matter. You read about that. I want a moment of silence for Jessica Doty Whitaker, please. Think about that. 24 years old, shot dead. Thank you. And one more. You may have read this too. And this is a result of New York City cutting their police budget $1 billion, getting rid of police, getting rid of the Special Crime Unit. DeVell Gardner Jr., 1-year-old boy, sitting in a stroller at a cookout, was killed in a hail of gunfire. A 1-year-old child shot in the stomach and died. Among the many casualties in New York City, where so many people have been affected by senseless gun violence because more police officers have been taken off the street. A moment of silence for this 1-year-old boy who lost his life, DeVell Gardner Jr., please. Thank you. Again, I can't thank you all enough. This crowd is it's just beautiful to see you all here with the signs that you brought. It's just wonderful, and I appreciate that you're being here. That you come out. That you're all patriots. Thank you very much. Woo. Right now, I'd like to introduce a new friend of mine, Jonathan Johnson. Jonathan is a Connecticut business owner, and he's the founder of the Connecticut Liberty Rally,
Woo!
which stands against unconstitutional executive orders. It stands for individual rights and freedoms. Jonathan is responsible for the Liberty Movement in Connecticut. He's also the vice chair of the Libertarian Party of Connecticut, and he's currently a candidate for state representative in the 26th district. Can you please give a huge round of applause and bring Jonathan to the stage?
Yeah! Woo!
I'm going to give the mic back, but first I want to say, all pigs matter!
Oh, Michael. Get off. Get off.
What is it that gentlemen wish? What would they have? Is life so dear or peace so sweet as to be purchased at the price of chains and slavery? Forbid it, Almighty God. I know not what course others may take, but as for me, give me liberty or give me death.
Yeah.
Patrick Henry gave this speech March 20th, 1775 in Richmond, Virginia, to raise and establish a militia among the Virginia colony. I stand before you today with this question. Someday when our children and grandchildren ask us about 2020, and our response when the government enforced the power to close private businesses, lock us in our houses, shut down our churches, deny our right to assemble, force us to wear masks, close our public schools, close our public parks, force us to keep social distance, enact the use of digital contact tracing, and propose the removal of vaccination exemption. When all these liberties were infringed, what did you do? Will you have an answer? The Connecticut Liberty Rally has answered that call. We've organized hundreds of patriots and freedom fighters from around our state to join the cause of liberty. On April 20th, we organized the first open protest against Governor Lamont's executive orders. And we'll continue to stand up for our rights to worship, assemble, travel, and conduct business freely here in Connecticut. Together, we've organized over 30 protests and rallies around the state. Together, we've held 7 rolling rallies around the governor's mansion.
That's right.
Together, we've held 9 live protests at the state capitol.
Yeah.
Together, we stood with businesses that opened early in defiance of His Excellency's executive orders.
Woo!
And we continue to protest and openly defy the new normal in our schools, our businesses, and in our churches. With local rallies and political actions in towns like Stonington, Norwalk, New Britain, Norwich, Willimantic, Glastonbury, Middlefield, and beyond. At every one of these rallies, we've had the support of our local and state law enforcement officers.
That's right.
I'm here today to say thank you. Thank you to all those officers who place their lives on the line every day and put themselves in harm's way to protect and serve our communities. You are the thin blue line that keeps our society safe, and you run into danger on a daily basis. These brave men and women have dreams, hopes, families, friends, and their own pursuit of the American dream, while serving all of us and laboring to make the world and our state a safe place. We appreciate, respect, and honor all law enforcement that serves nobly, particularly in the tumultuous times such as these. Today we say thank you. And today we're asking you to stand with us. Stand with us as we continue to reject the tyrannical rule of one man, the Governor Ned Lamont. Stand with us as we continue to stand up for our God-given rights to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Today we ask you to stand with us and ask you to refuse to enforce unconstitutional executive orders.
Yeah.
In the same famous speech, Patrick Henry stated, "We shall not fight our battles alone. There is a just God who presides over the destinies of nations, and who will raise up friends to fight our battles for us. The battle, sir, is not to the strong alone, it is to the vigilant, the active, and the brave." Stand with us as we continue to answer the call of our forefathers to preserve our freedom and our nation. It's been an honor to be invited to speak here today. I'd like to invite you to our next and hopefully our biggest freedom rally on Sunday, August 2nd at 12 p.m. at the state capitol. Today, I also want to announce that I am seeking public office as a state representative serving the 26th district. I will need the support of freedom-loving patriots from around our state if I will be successful in bringing a voice of liberty to our state legislature. If you're interested in the Connecticut Liberty rallies around the state or my campaign, please visit ctliberty.org. Thank you very much.
All right, Jonathan Johnson, Connecticut Liberty. How about another big round of applause for him?
Woo!
These folks came from far away to speak to us. Let's show them that we appreciate it. We have some good people that are fighting for our liberties, for your liberties, and you are too. That's why you're here. We can't leave it to somebody else or someone else. We say that expression, someone else will take care of it. I've heard that my life, all life. Someone else will take care of it. Someone else is gone. They're not going to take care of it. We need to take care of the problem, you and me, every one of us. Are you on board?
Yes!
I don't ask you to agree with me on everything or anything, but the mainstream media out there does. They're filling our heads every day with bad stories about police. Nobody tells us about all the good things. Ben Pagoni told us a couple of beautiful stories about police. There's hundreds of those stories every day in our country, but we only hear about the bad ones. Don't let the mainstream media affect your thinking. Be a free thinker. Whether
Yes.
you agree with what we're saying here or not, be a free thinker. I mentioned New York and the cutting of $1 billion from the police budget. I mentioned cutting the crime division and so many other things that they have cut there because they're going to be able to handle all the crime in New York City with social workers or by singing Kumbaya or something like that. Exactly. Right now, I want to introduce our next speaker. He's a good friend of mine. I'm happy to say he's a good friend of mine, Lou Alba. And I'll tie it in with New York City in a moment. Lou is a veteran, he's an executive, and he's an author. He served IBM as an executive for many, many years, Marine Corps for 3 years during the war, and he serves as an information officer currently for the Woodbury American Legion. I think he was with IBM about 30 years. He holds even his Connecticut teaching certification, earned a master's degree in professional management from Pace University, and Lou is also a published author. He wrote a book called The View from Ocean Hill about his life growing up in Brooklyn, New York in the 50s and 60s. Currently working on his second book, a mystery called Skelsey. I want to tell you the connection now. Lou's son is a Brooklyn, New York City police officer. Please join me in welcoming to the podium, Lou Alba.
Woo!
Thank you for that very generous introduction. However, I'm just Lou. I'm one of you, a proud American. I, like most law-abiding Americans, thought that what was going on in our country was temporary. No sensible person could really believe in this nonsense and this violence. And I laid back and waited for somebody to do something. Nobody, especially our local gutless politicians, stepped forward. That's why I'm here tonight, and I believe that's why you are all here tonight. I wasn't born into privilege. No silver spoon for me. Mom and Dad were poor, not well educated. They were Depression-era survivors, but they worked hard, and they made it. We all made it in my family. They are the embodiment of the American dream. So never, ever ask me to apologize for who I am. That will never happen. I am proud of my family, proud of my heritage, and I'm proud to be an American. 7 of my uncles served in the military during World War II and Korea. 10 of my cousins, you can probably understand I'm Italian, 10 of my cousins are veterans, including my brother, brother-in-law, and myself, 5 of whom are part of the United States Marine Corps.
Woo!
I am the father of a New York City patrolman who right now is walking the beat in Brooklyn, New York, in some of the toughest neighborhoods in the city. And my son-in-law is a law enforcement officer here in Connecticut. I have a major stake in seeing that both of them can go home every night to their families. I am not a turn the other cheek proponent, and I will not stand by and watch either my son or my son-in-law shot at, humiliated, cursed, or spat upon. Most of us don't realize just how much and how many lives have been saved by our police officers, being the first to accidents, extracting occupants, giving first aid, saving the lives of youngsters who have overdosed,
Yep.
rushing into burning buildings to make sure everyone is safe, talking people off roof ledges and bridges, and yes, even delivering babies. 241 New York City police officers never made it home on September 11, 2001. Their spouses didn't know they were kissing them goodbye that fateful morning for the last time. More than 85 police officers on average are killed in the line of duty each year. That's 85 too many. We can no longer stay. It's time to take sides. We all need to raise our voices to our representatives, the politicians in power.
That's right.
And we need to tell them, if they don't stop this insanity, we will vote them out of office or get them recalled.
Yep.
Our law enforcement officers need to be free to do the job of protecting our communities. Don't be fooled by the anti-racism rhetoric. It's no longer about racism.
That's
It's
right.
about the violent overthrow of our way of life. It's not about defunding police. It's about assassinating police officers.
Mm-hmm.
These terrorists, and I'm calling the Antifa organization a bunch of terrorists and Marxists, want to take away your free speech rights through threats and intimidation, to take away your freedom to practice your religion and your right to bear arms. They want to burn America down, not find justice.
They do.
We are living in a time when we are in a society in which many people are impressed by this lawlessness. We have been assured by the leftist politicians that everything's okay, except people are killing each other and law enforcement is being targeted. Groups like Black Lives Matter may have begun with good intentions, with finding justice, but the movement has been hijacked by Marxists and anarchists.
It has.
Their leaders have admitted to being trained Marxists. The truth of the matter is that what we have seen over the course of the last several months, an explosion of crime and violence, partly due, and this is what we are told, to demographics and other things that have nothing to do with reality. Yet we all know that there's been a breakdown of the basic institutions of local government in our country. The mindset that these anarchists are being taught is a mind that says you do whatever you want, you do whatever you can get away with. And that getting away with it is the only measure of whether what you have done is wrong. That sense that there is no fundamental distinction between right and wrong is the key to understanding the difference between those who are law-abiding and those who are not. And the lawless seem to actually have gotten away with all this garbage. There seem to be a lot of Americans who are quite willing to support these groups out of misguided guilt. Don't fall into that trap. In 2001, then President George W. Bush was quoted making the following statement, and I think that statement is appropriate today.
I had to get out of the
Every
sun.
nation in every region now has a decision to make. Either you are with us or you are with the terrorists. We increasingly hear about the need to defund police and the need for bail reform for prisoners, and a desire to spend money on more things that are aimed at dealing with the consequences of lawless violence. This is absolute insanity and plays right into the hands of the anarchists and those who want to destroy, not build, and not fix. Your voice is important and needs to be heard. And your being here tonight is the beginning of a new American revolution. The America our founders envisioned, and an America we will not surrender to vandals and terrorists.
We the people!
Don't sit back like I did. Call your representatives and tell them, no, demand of them that they stop the violence or get out of the way. Start rallies in your towns. Attend rallies like this.
Yes.
Let's organize a
Very important.
million-person march on Washington. And join us, as Dave has mentioned many times, in the newly organized United American Patriots. Thank you for having me here. I really appreciate it. God bless you. Take care, and God bless America.
Ladies and gentlemen, Lou Alba. For me, police are not the problem. For me, police are part of the solution. It's not perfect, I know that,
Yep.
but they're part of the solution. Each and every one of us needs to offer our sincerest thanks and our heartfelt gratitude to every officer, alive and fallen, for having the strength of character and the undying dedication to be protectors of our safety, to be protectors of our livelihoods, and to be protectors of our families. Give them a round of applause for our police.
Woo!
The fact is, and I think you will agree, the large majority of law enforcement officers are good people. They're kind people. They're family people. We don't defund the police. We defend them. As Lou Alba just said, we can't stand back. Let us get together and do something. And right here, because I know we've got some television stations here, I am going to respectfully issue a challenge to those protesting on the other side. Call me. I will meet you, and we will get our sides together. Let's talk about the issues, but let's talk about facts, the real facts, the reality, not fairy tales. That challenge means I will meet you anywhere, anytime in a debate.
My dad has that shirt. That's a cool shirt.
No, does he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can I show
Our
it?
last speaker
It's a cool
That'd be
shirt.
nice to come down and represent it.
is Josiah Dan. Some of you may know him.
Chuck.
Josiah
Chuck
is a certified emergency
Good to
nurse
see you.
and a registered nurse working in emergency rooms.
I was here at 5.
Yeah.
He has over 8 years experience in
I'm
nursing
so happy to
and has
meet you.
worked
I'm
in the
all sweaty.
healthcare field for over
Good to see you.
21 years in various capacities. Josiah counts himself as a patriotic American citizen
Now
who's
that I
proud
know
of
you,
his
I'll
Scottish
know.
roots. He
I'm
stands
so
for
glad to meet
truth,
you finally.
justice, and the American way.
Oh, here's Josiah. Woo!
Josiah supports the work and importance of first responders, including all law enforcement officers. He's well versed in our Constitution, and he invites you to listen to his talk where we can all learn something. Please join me in a warm welcome for Josiah Dan.
Woo!
Thank you guys for coming out. Thank you for supporting the police. Let's hear it for the police, our law enforcement officers. That's right, make it loud. Come on.
right, cool. Thank you.
I'm a loud
See
man
you before
myself,
you
so
leave.
when I get interested in
Sign me
things, I
before
kind of
you
hoot and holler. I'm the guy that was over in the corner making all the noise. So, if there's anything that you hear me say that you agree with, hoot and holler and make a lot of noise. So, first things first. If there is no enforcement, then what happens? Anybody?
Sorry, Joe.
There is no order.
That's
right?
right.
We are a country founded on a constitution. That constitution lays out for us laws, precepts to live by, ways that establish this society that we live in that make things work in a rational and logical manner. The police were set up to help protect the society, to protect us as individuals, and to establish the enforcement of the law. And if we defund the police, if we disband the police, then what do we have? A lack of order. We have
Right.
chaos and anarchy. And that's exactly what multiple speakers before me have alluded to, is that there are anarchists that want to destroy this nation. They want to destroy what makes America, America.
There we go.
And what is
That's
it?
better.
Freedom. And what is it? What is freedom guaranteed by in this country? It's called the Constitution, which is what? Our first pieces of law and order.
Yep.
And so, if we are going to stand, and we are going to be Americans, then we stand on top of the Constitution. I have a bachelor's degree in history, as well as being a nurse. I did a 4-year education at a state university in Connecticut to get my degree in history. And I love history. I love my Scottish roots, my Scottish history. And part of that is being a person that looks at what happens, analyzes what happens, and makes determinations as to what path I'm going to take. And then ultimately, historians help us to see the past so that we don't forget it, so that we don't repeat it, right? Where did we come from? We came from a monarchy. We came from a monarchy where there was an authoritative ruler who did not give the people a voice. And now we got one because we stood up and said, no, we're not going to take it anymore. Now, we got a group of anarchists called, BLM and Antifa that are trying to steal our country from us. They're telling politicians in leftist states, like was said, that we should get rid of the police. Well, what's that going to do? That's going to allow them to have free reign. They're going to come in, they're going to destroy the cities like they did in Seattle, like they're doing in New York. And what are we going to have left? It's going to look like communist Russia and China. The Berlin Wall. It's going to look like chaos. Do we want that? Do we want this park to look like chaos? So if we don't want it to look like chaos, we got to stand up. We got to be Americans. We got to be people who are willing to say, you know what? No, we're not going to take this. You're not going to stand up to me and tell me what I can do in my own country. If you got something to say it to my face. Disagree with me, but you are not going to walk over the police. You're not going to walk over my families. You're not going to walk over the Constitution. And you're not going to walk all over this country.
Yeah!
We will not comply with you. Now, to our governors in our states who are overstepping their constitutional authority, we say the same thing, because guess what? You're falling in line with the same organizations that are walking all over this country that you're supporting and telling, go do what you want. Screw the police. We don't care about them. We're going to take their money away. We're going to walk all over them. They're not worth anything. They're pigs. Are you guys pigs? I don't think so. Everybody should be appreciative to the boys in blue who protect our streets, who protect us when we go to work. Where I work in an emergency room. Do you know what kind of people we see in an emergency room? We see everybody. We see people coming in with heart attacks and strokes and COPD exacerbations. We see people who come in with limbs missing because they just got into a car accident because the police showed up and called the ambulance service and brought them to our department. Because that's a chain of command issue. You know, they're the ones that first on scene. They call the EMS. They get the people that need help to us. What's going to happen if they go away? Nothing. You're going to die on the side of the street. Let's think about this rationally, people.
Yep.
Now, in the emergency department that I work in, we had someone nearly die 4 years ago. That was just when I was starting working in the emergency department. And she was triaging a patient. She was a 50-ish-year-old woman doing her job, and she had a psych patient come in that she was triaging, finding out what was going on. And that patient had a knife on them. Pulled the knife when she was triaging the patient while she was facing her computer and proceeded to stab that woman. This person stabbed this woman multiple times. She tried to defend herself, putting her arm up, and got stabbed through her tricep, through her arm, into her neck. She got dragged into the emergency department after she tried banging on the doors to get in because she was bleeding profusely from her arm. She had multiple ruptured arteries. And guess what happened to the individual that perpetrated that event? The police got him on the street. Now, if we don't have police officers patrolling our streets, looking for vandals and people committing crime, people breaking into others' homes, attacking people, shooting people, stabbing people, what are we going to have? We're going to have people dying needlessly because we're getting rid of the enforcement officers for the very laws that we seek to protect that make this nation beautiful. The very nation that we stand on because we have freedom.
Yeah! Woo!
We are watching as globalist anarchists seek to invade this country. I usually speak with a prepared speech, but today I'm just doing myself a little bullet point thing, so bear with me. The United States right now is at a crossroads. We are looking at the potential of two different futures. And this country has been straying off the path for the better part of the past 100 years by allowing people whose leanings tended to be socialist and communist take power in this country. What was this country founded on? It was founded on a constitution, a democratic republic, and the ideal of capitalism, free market capitalism. Since FDR, Frederick Delano Roosevelt, our country has been sliding down the slippery slope of Marxist thought. And we have allowed it to invade our schools, our politicians that are getting into office. We continually elect people that make decisions that are socialist in leaning, which violate constitutional principles that protect our individual freedoms. So I'm just going to lay out a quick bullet point of the differences between the democratic republic versus democratic socialism, which ultimately, does anybody remember in school, what is the end game of socialism? Communism. Can anybody tell me the nation that's responsible for this COVID-19 pandemic? China. What's China? Oh my goodness, and what happens in China? What is it that their government does to their own people? Positive? We're locked in their apartment buildings. The steel doors on their apartment buildings were welded shut. They were locked in their buildings with no access to food, water, health care. Do we want that?
No.
Then it's time that we start standing up, all right? So the difference, the divergent paths, democratic republic and capitalism seeks the importance of individuality and individualism. Democratic socialism leading to communism is collectivism. Look at the decisions this country is making and stamping all over our Constitution. They are telling us everybody has to wear masks. Do you know what scientific literature backs up masking? Hardly any. Masking doesn't actually protect you out here. People don't use masks right. We are following a collectivist approach to society, mandating that you follow a principle set up by an authoritarian figure instead of analyzing information for yourself and coming to the most rational and logical conclusions that you can. Everybody in society makes decisions every day that you go down the street, you walk and you cross the street. Oh, guess what? That was a risky decision. You can get hit by a car. You drive down the street and you're going 40 miles an hour and you're coming up to a corner and you choose to stay 40 miles an hour instead of slowing down. That's a risky decision. You're still staying at the speed limit, but it's a risky decision. Everybody makes risky decisions. And there are risks and benefits to every choice we make. Masking, according to OSHA, which is the organization that oversees all businesses in compliance with safety, says that when you wear a mask, or you are told that you need to wear a mask for your employment, that you need to be medically screened and evaluated to determine the efficacy of the mask for you and the safety for you as a user, because masks come with risks. So the collectivist answer is everybody wears a mask. The individualist, capitalist, democratic republic answer, constitutional answer is, let me see the evidence and let me make the rational choice that makes the best sense for me and my family. What are we choosing? Oh, guess what? Our authoritarian figures are telling us everybody has to wear a mask when they go into a business. Ridiculous. Freedom on the Democratic Republic side, and government restriction on the Democratic Socialist side. That means that in the constitutional Democratic Republic side, we have freedoms guaranteed to us under the founding document for this country that protect us as individuals. It protects businesses and business owners from the overreach of government coming in and telling you that you can keep your business up and running during a pandemic. It's not really a pandemic because now it doesn't even fit the criteria for an epidemic because the death rate has dropped so darn stinking low.
Yep.
So, what do you want? Freedom or government restriction? I choose freedom.
Freedom!
The Democratic Republic? Yes, thank you. Democratic Republic, we have an espoused idea of liberty. This idea that we, as individuals, making our own choices that suit our best interests for the long run, the short run, or for whatever decision we make, versus communal responsibility or communistic responsibility. So in a communist society, the benefit of the entire society always outweighs the benefit of the individual and or the safety of the individual. And so again, with the masking issue, is it safe for everybody to wear a mask? Technically, no. Because if you have medical conditions, you shouldn't be wearing a mask. If you have COPD or severe asthma or heart disease or diabetes, because it puts taxation on different organs in your body that make it harder for you to breathe because there's organ issue failure. So what's the better choice, liberty or communal responsibility? There should be an interplay, but when you always side on communal responsibility or the benefit of the entire society over the benefit of the individual and the safety of the individual, that's not a society I want to live in. I don't know about you. What do you guys? What do you think? Where do you want to live? Personal rights and responsibilities versus communal property. Do you guys own your own home? You like that, don't you? Being able to own your own home? That doesn't happen in a communist society. The government owns everything. And they tell you when you get to use it, how you get to use it, and when you have to give it up. So what side of this equation is going to protect who we are as individuals, who we are as a society? The very flag that we fly over this park right now stands for the very principles that I'm talking about under democratic republic, capitalism, and free market, and constitutionalism. I hope that that's where you stand. I hope that that's where you park yourself, because that is the foundation of this country. That is what's going to make this country survive all of this craziness. We need to start standing up against our executives, telling them that they're violating the Constitution, telling them that if they don't stop, we're going to kick them out of office. We're definitely not going to re-elect them, and we're not going to elect anybody else that does the same thing. No kicking the butts of the police because they're doing their job. You know what? We got a whole group of people in Congress that are pretty inept at their job, right? You got some bad seeds. Only how many more bad seeds are in Congress, right? They take bribes from businesses. They take bribes from other congressional officials. And guess what? They still stay in office. They still getting paid when everybody else here has to be on the dole because we're cutting out of our own businesses. The only reason right now there isn't a revolution that is a aggressive American revolution in this country is because the people that are out of work are getting paid by the government. We're all getting bribed.
Yep.
The people that ain't working are getting money from the government. We're getting bribed, not to revolution. So
That's right.
Where do we stand? On a constitution or not? That's where we stand. It's the Constitution or nothing. The very founders of the BLM movement, a woman named Susan Rosenberg, do you know who she is? She's a communist revolutionary who, United States. She killed police officers who were defending a bank and got arrested and put in a federal prison. And guess who let her out? Obama.
Obama.
Everybody's making a big deal about Trump right now and how he's pardoned, the most recent pardons. You know how many pardons Trump has actually given since he's gone in office? 10. Do you know how many presidential pardons President Obama had?
I can only imagine.
1,762, including
Wow.
communist sympathizers, revolutionaries who want to destroy this country and watch it turn into the Communist Republic of the United States. So let's stand for the Constitution. Let's stand for America. Let's stand with the boys in blue.
Woo!
Without enforcement, there is no order. Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, Josiah Dan. Big round of applause. Again, it's not about law